strangest things I'd ever experienced, walking into the past that had been turned into kind of historical kitsch in a way.
Yes.
All the guests for the wedding were bussed in from New Orleans to Vacherie, Louisiana. And, we were at the Oak Alley Plantation, a place that has a bed and breakfast and a restaurant, and you can get ice cream cones there, and they, bottle and sell their own mint syrup for mint juleps. And I just didn't know what I had walked into. And I found it so fascinating, that kind of approach to history, that it got me kind of thinking that what a setting for a murder mystery.
Attica Locke joins us today, The Cutting Season, latest book. Talk to me about the book itself. Why did you decide to write this book?
Well, I'll tell you this. When in 2008, when it kind of became clear that Barack Obama was going to be the Democratic nominee, and during that summer, I was already kind of thinking, my God, this man is about to be president. I was just so, again, blown away by trying to hold the breath of American history. It was just stunning to me. It felt to me as if we were about to walk into a different country collectively. And I just was frankly anxious about it, nervous even, because I didn't know we were all about to walk into the unknown. Would it mean the day after he was elected that everything was different? Would it mean that nothing was different? We wouldn't know until it all happened. And somewhere in that anxiety and thinking about all of this, I remembered this crazy wedding, and I remembered this plantation. And after he was elected, I went back to Oak Alley because I was starting to think about writing a story there. And I got the opportunity to stay in one of their cottages. I stayed by myself right next to the sugarcane fields. And I'd heard that the place was haunted. But I sat on the front porch of this little cottage, and I felt a sense of wanting to speak to, not my literal ancestors, but wanting to say thank you to the people whose backs this nation stands on. It was just really powerful for me to think of a black man in the White House while I was sitting on this plantation, to think of how far we'd come as a country. And that really kind of spurred me to write the book.
Attica Locke with us today here on the Big Broadcast, and I'm assuming your website is atticalocke.com, correct?
It is indeed.
Now, you can be found on Twitter, Facebook, all these various places. What are people on social media telling you about this book, or what are some different reactions and things they're giving you?
Well, it hits people on a bunch of different levels. I mean, a lot of people respond to simply just the mystery aspect of it. And that the greatest compliment I'll ever get is, people saying they read it in a day, they read it in a weekend. I think there's just a joy in being told a good story. And then other people speak to me more deeply about the feelings that it kind of stirred up for them. And this is the first thing I've written where I felt a sense of real controversy about the ending, which I'm not, of course, going to give away, but any of your listeners that get to it will come to their own conclusion about the ending. But there have been polar opposite reactions, people who feel angered by the ending, but in a passionate kind of way, and then other people who think it was the perfect ending. Because I think the book starts to ask these questions of how far have we come. And I don't think that you could find, two people in this country that would answer that question in quite the same way. We all have our own take on our nation's history and how well we're doing in this great freedom experiment.
Attica Locke with us today here on the program. You can get more information on what Attica is doing over there at atticalocke.com. And Attica, thanks for being with us today. This is a great book. It's a great step into the past, and it's also something to think about for the future of our country and everything around the world. Thanks for being on with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
This has been a great interview. Before we let you go, Attica, how do we connect with you on Twitter and Facebook and all these places?
Just my name. My Twitter handle is @Attica Locke, and you can find me at Attica Locke on Facebook.
Well, that's good stuff. Well, Attica, thanks for being with us, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Definitely. Appreciate it. Attica Locke with us today here on the program. You can get more